The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Technology. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Thomas Sanjurjo. Hey, Thomas.
Hey, Dom.
And Jack Baruzzini. Hey, Jack.
Hey, Dom.
Before we get into the show, folks, I want to tell you about another show on the StarQuest Network you're sure to enjoy, and it's very timely because it's The Secrets of Star Wars. And there is a new season of Star Wars: The Bad Batch that just started as we record this. The first episodes have dropped, and they're amazing. I've already watched them with my kids, and you're going to be hearing the Secrets of Star Wars panels discussing those very soon. So be sure to sign up, get your subscription to the Secrets of Star Wars wherever fine podcasts are found, or at sqpn.com/Star Wars. So tonight, or this episode, you may not be night where you are, we're going to be discussing a fun topic. I was telling the guys, this is one of my favorite kind of topic because of talking about cool software, like lots of different software. And this one, Thomas, you had this idea. It was a good idea. The apps we use every day, or something like Software Everyday Carry, EDC. Mm-hmm. EDC is a topic we've talked about this before. The hardware version of this, of the sorts of physical things we carry, and it usually refers to the stuff you've always got on you, the stuff that you carry around with you day to day, your wallet, your keys, a flashlight, a pen, a penknife, that sort of stuff that you keep on you because it all has a utility. It's like Batman's utility belt. It's got all of the gadgets that you need. And so there's a lot of software that we use on a daily basis that helps us get through our day, whether it's work or personal. And by this, mainly we're referring to things like the non-production, non-main work things. So not like Microsoft Office or, in my case, the Adobe Creative Suite or, server software or something like that, or, coding software. This is more the stuff that supports all that, the stuff that helps you to do all that work, whether, again, personal or in your career. So we're going to talk about some of those things. And gentlemen, I'll start off. I think we should just go one at a time and talk about our things. And Thomas, since this was your idea, why don't you go first and tell us about the software that is in your EDC kit?
All right, sure. Yeah. I think one of the things that's really interesting to me about EDCs is that you get a lot about the person based on the stuff that they have in their pocket, like the things that they want to keep. And as I was going through this list, I was like, wow, you can tell a lot about me from this list as well. And so, I'm going to kick it off with KeePass XC, which is my preferred password storage system. And so if you've ever used LastPass or one of the items like that, 1Password's another one that's a good example of that. This is an open source password storage system. So you basically have a KDBX file that stores your passwords. It stores passwords, usernames, and website URLs in it. And they're all protected, and it's offline. So it's not stored online, and you can just carry that KDBX file with you. And then on any computer you go to, you could download KeePass and then load that KDBX file in, and there you go. All of your passwords are right there. And my favorite part of it is that you can have multiple. So if you have a team of people that's working on something, you can store all the passwords that team needs into a KDBX file, share it with anybody on the team. And as long as they know the main password for it, they can get in and use all the passwords that they need to. Really easy to link it. You can also get plugins for all the major browsers and stuff too. My second one's Visual Studio Code. Now, I used to be a big Notepad++ guy, and then one of my buddies at work got me turned on to the fact that Visual Studio Code does all the stuff that I've gotten a bunch of different plugins shoved into Notepad++ to do all out of the box. So I really love Visual Studio Code. I'm not huge on proprietary software because this is a very Microsoft centric product, but it works. Like it just does all of the things that I need it to do in doing code reviews, in reviewing bug logs, or anything that I need to really get through quickly. I love going to Visual Studio Code for it.
So it's like a advanced word processor. It's not like a coding environment per se.
Exactly. It can be. Yep. And that's what a lot of people use it for. But I use it as just a word processor. And so you can grab a whole box, like a whole folder of documents, throw it into Visual Studio Code, and then do a search against the text in all of those documents. And it will return all of the instances of that text. And then you can load those up as a temporary file. You can save it off as a file that's just got those results. And it's just so much really, really useful stuff, especially when you're looking at logs. It's got like this side window pane that just shows a picture of what you're looking at. So it's not the actual text, but it's like a mini map of the stuff you're looking at, and you can just scroll through there. And as long as the thing's color coded, you can actually see where a lot of the errors are and the different things like that are happening.
Interesting. And it's available Windows, Linux, Mac, and in a web base. So anybody could use it anywhere. That's cool.
And it's free. It's proprietary, but it is free. It does have a lot of really great plugins too. So a lot of good support. I've actually got a Vim editor attached to it, so I can do all of my Vim shortcuts in there.
Nice.
And all that kind of stuff. So that one's really good. The next one's like, this will change your life, so be careful because it will consume a lot of time, but it will save a lot of time in the long run. This is called Newt. It's a new tab plus concept page. It's an extension for Google Chrome and Firefox. So if you use either of those environments for your web browser, you can find Newt, N-E-W-T, like the animal, but it's new tab. And it's great because what it does is it turns that new tab landing page. So when you open up a new tab, it turns it into a workspace where you can organize all of your different bookmarks and put them in folders. It puts them on the screen really neatly so that they're all just listed out with a brief shortcut information. And so it's like a link page, but it's an extension for your browser. So it's not something that you had. Like there used to be one, I don't even remember what it was called, but I used it for a long time where you could store your links online and it would kind of organize them for you. And then you would go to a page and it would build them into these little folders. This thing does it for you. So easy to use. And then once you've set up your folders, because it's in your browser, when you click the favorite button, it automatically allows you to select from one of the Newt folders and put it right in there. And so there's no back and forth. It just works. It's just really fantastic.
Nice. Okay.
And so then this is the part where it starts telling a little bit about me. I am a network nerd. So PuTTY and WinSCP are on every Windows device that I have. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about the rest of this list is pretty much, a bunch of the things in this list are things that I get on Windows because they make Windows feel more like Linux. And so this is one of those sets where PuTTY and WinSCP are just like all of the shell scripting that I can use on my Linux box, but they make me able to do that from Windows. So anybody who's ever had to engage with a Linux machine from a Windows machine, you'll know what I'm talking about, that these two are invaluable pieces. And PuTTY is the shell portion and WinSCP is the file management portion. So it allows you to put files onto the system or to read the files from the system as if it was a Windows environment.
Cool. And so WinSCP is like File Explorer. It's like a replacement for File Explorer. I see.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it allows you to connect to a remote system. So that's basically what it does. Is it just allows you to connect to that remote system, and then you get the same Windows style navigation of the file system. So if you're really comfortable in Windows and you don't want to mess with your Linux server from Windows by engaging with the file system the way the way you would in PowerShell or something like that, that's what WinSCP is great for.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm a big Plex user. Mm-hmm. So Handbrake is huge for me, because I can rip DVDs and manipulate the output file so that it takes up less bandwidth or less space depending on what I need. And I've gone way down the handbrake rabbit hole, and I've learned not only like all of the like weird odd off functions, but I've learned them in the command line because I'm a command line junkie. So there is a handbrake command line tool, and I have a DVD ripper that's set up that I plug a DVD in, it figures out what the DVD is, and then rips it based on a certain set of pre-encoding items that I want. So I don't even use it anymore, which is kind of bad because I've got it just set up and running, but I just pop the DVD drive open, stick the DVD in, and it does the rest. So it's really fantastic. And that's a bunch of shell scripting on top of that.
Yeah, I used Handbrake a lot for a while as I was ripping all of my DVDs that I've had, but I've pretty much run through all of my DVDs. You know, I hardly open Handbrake anymore, but it's a great way to back up your DVDs for one thing. It doesn't do Blu-ray though? Is that right? Or you have to. Well, there are ways you can, but you need a bunch of other encoding software pieces to do it. Yeah, I have a different. I think it's called Make DVD that I used for some of my Blu-rays, because it's a whole different ball of wax. But it's another show. We'll talk about that some other time.
Oh yeah, we go way into that one.
Yes,
definitely. But yeah, I'll grab DVDs from the dollar bin at this point, where, you know, if they're just cheap on sale at Target or whatever, when we're walking by, it's like, oh hey, I haven't seen that movie in forever, and I don't even process it at this point, because I know I'm going to bring it home, put it on Plex, and then there it is. It's available for us to use for ad infinitum.
Just as a aside, I saw that Best Buy has removed all physical media from its stores. It's no longer selling CDs or DVDs or Blu-rays or anything in their stores, which is a seminal moment, to say the least. That's pretty wild.
They still have records, though.
Yes, because records are back.
Going back to the LPs.
I'm waiting for the 8-tracks to come back, but
it's going to happen sooner than later.
Yep.
That's a different discussion too, but
yes.
So one of the other ones that I use a lot, and this is since I'm a networking geek, I explain networking stuff a lot, and I have to draw many diagrams. And so draw.io is fantastic for this. It is just a quick way to grab a bunch of shapes, draw lines between them, label them, and just do it easily and in a way that you can navigate functionally. It's a website, but you can also download a version of it to keep on your own computer, which I recommend because it's really useful to just quickly draw a diagram and then have it available to just explain something to someone. Very simply, and you can zoom in, zoom out, move all around the screen, and color code everything. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. And it's good for explaining anything. I use it for networking a lot, but any complicated process that you just need a flow chart for, it's fantastic for it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and it's basically a drawing program. It's got a grid. You've got shapes. Again, all the common shapes you would need to illustrate something, including people, but it also has the standard flowchart shapes. So fantastic. That's excellent. Yeah. And it's free.
It's free. And it's the best part about it is that it's quick, very, very low barrier to learn.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I really love about it. Like, I don't need, when I need to do a diagram, I don't need a full-fledged graphics program to run off of. I just need something that I'm going to really quickly make some shapes, put some text on it, and we're good to go.
Excellent.
All right. So the next couple are definitely that realm of like making stuff that I need in Windows that I have in Linux. So in Linux, I just go to the command line and I can convert files really easily. I can do a whole bunch of stuff from the command line very simply. On Windows, it's very hard. There's this program called File Converter. Now, there's a billion of these out there. The one I recommend is file-converter.org. It is a fantastic program that you just grab a bunch of stuff and it adds some Windows widgets to be able to just right click and file convert them to something else. And it's pretty smart about predicting what it has and what it can convert those things to. So if you're trying to convert audio files, it knows these are audio files. So here's a list of other types of audio files that I can convert it to. Or if it's an image file, I could convert it to a PDF or another variety of image. And it's a really, really quick way to just be able to say, I need to get this in a format that somebody else can use. I don't have time to go and find a reasonable website to do this with. Yeah. And it has a lot of extension types. So it's a really, really good program.
Cool. Excellent.
And then the other one is tree size free. So this is on Linux. I've got like 3 or 4 commands that I know that I can just shoot out what the size of everything in a drive is. Tree size free is the graphical version of that for Windows. And what it does is it will run on your whole system if you want it to. So if you want to see like where all of your big chunks of data on your Windows system are, this is great. But you can also do it on a folder by folder basis. So if you want to see just like where the really big files inside of a particular folder are, you can do that with this on a folder level. And so it's really good for discovery of where all of your big, chunks of data are.
Okay. Excellent.
Yep. And the last one, I will not do without this one on any Windows machine. Sometimes you just need a graphics program that's a little more complicated than Draw.io, but not like Photoshop level. You just need like a Paint program, and MS Paint is awful. MS Paint is like just the worst. I hate it. So paint.net, which is at getpaint.net. It's a weird website, but getpaint.net. It is a like Paint Plus. So you can do light photo manipulation. You can add just graphics really quickly to things. So if you need to grab an image and do a red circle with an arrow, this program is great for that. And it's got all sorts of little tools inside of it that make it feel a little bit more like a graphic, like a Paint Plus, but not quite as complicated as like a GIMP or a Photoshop. So it just gets the job done. So if you need a really quick, edit of photos, this is your go-to.
Okay, excellent. And again, most of these are, in fact, all of these are Windows based. There's a few that are cross-platform, but because you're using Windows on a regular basis. Jack, are you a Windows primarily or Linux primarily?
At home, I'm primarily Linux. At work, it's Windows.
Okay, right. So why don't we turn to you and see what you've got for what's in your software EDC?
Awesome. This first chunk here is going to all be specific Google apps because I have an Android phone and they make it really easy to organize things. I use the Keep Notes, and the nice thing about these is they're all websites in addition to being apps, and they're available on iOS or Android. But Keep Notes is like a note-taking tool for Android. And it allows you to do like lists to keep lists going. So like my wife and I have a grocery list that we just keep as like a rolling list. And when we need something, we add to it and we can both see it and update it at any time. I use it if I actually need to jot down something to remember quickly, or if I need to organize different kinds of like notes and lists together. And it's completely free, which is nice. And you can access it through the browser and also on any device that you have. The next one is Google Assistant / Gemini, because it seems like that's what Google is pushing us towards. I just use that for all my smart home stuff, controlling the audio, controlling lights, things like that. And I have actually been playing around with Gemini, doing like analysis of different kinds of files and text documents and stuff like that. And I've had some varying results with that, but that is still a useful tool.
And Gemini is their AI tool, basically. It's their ChatGPT tool. Yep. Okay.
Formerly known as Bard.
Right. Okay.
And Google Drive is another one I use. I keep pretty much all my documents in there. I use it when we're doing the podcast. I'll put together the show notes in that. Just for pretty much any other kind of documents. I like to organize it by have the different creative stuff organized off all on its own. And then my wife and I have like a shared folder that we'll put like different like personal documents for like home maintenance and finances and stuff like that. It works really well for that. The next one is Google Recorder, and you can access that online. But I really like the features that it has. If you have a Pixel phone, you can do voice recording, and it will give you full transcripts that are actually really, really accurate. So it's nice if you need to record different notes. It'll give you a big full transcript of everything, and you can export that to Google Drive or Google Keep. The last two I use in a Windows environment at work, Notepad++, basically because no one wants to use Notepad on its own.
Yep.
Mainly manipulating like CSV files, log files, and stuff like that. Although I guess I do need to check out Visual Studio Code because apparently that's good. I recommend it. Don't need to get scared off by the word Visual Studio. But I like that one, and it's totally free. And 7-zip is another one that I feel like you need if you're on Windows because you can still not extract RAR files on Windows in 2024.
Yeah. It's an archive utility, so for zipping files.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, and it's interesting. This what it says about you in your computing environment. It's very much focused on the cross platform, including Android and Windows, and that sort of environments. So interesting to see that. Thanks, Jack. So my list, no surprise, is all Apple focused. I'm all in on the Apple ecosystem, and I've talked about I think probably all of these at one point or another on the show, but it's worth talking about them in this context again. And some of my thinking is what's the first stuff I install on a new Mac? When I get a new Mac, I rarely migrate. Where with the process where it just sucks everything over from one drive to another. I usually start from scratch, install from scratch. And what are the first things I install? Well, one of the first things I install is 1Password. I've been using 1Password for at least a decade now, and it is fantastic. It stores my two-factor authentication stuff. It allows me to share with my wife. And now my kids, as they're getting older, shared vaults and all that sort of stuff. So it's really great. And I store all kinds of stuff there, not just usernames and passwords. I've got like all of our health ID cards, like our health insurance information is in there, and our vaccination records can go in there, and social security numbers, and all that stuff that I really need to make sure that it is it's in the most secure place that I can access wherever. And that's the key, because I really trust 1Password's security, and you have to. If you don't trust them, don't do it. Like, just if you don't trust the vendor, don't do it. I trust 1Password. They're up there with Apple. They're my two most trustworthy tech companies for securing my information. And so I store all kinds of stuff in those places that I need to have access to wherever, but also I want to make sure that it's secure. So 1Password, and I get 1Password for free 1Password for families for free with my Eero home mesh Wi-Fi system. I get the Eero Plus package, which is like $99 a year, but it includes the Encrypt.me VPN subscription for free, and 1Password for free, and something else I'm forgetting. But it's so in other words, the value I'm getting for that $99 is well over the cost. So yeah, 1Password. The next one I want to mention is Airtable. Airtable is a web-based database that you could use. It reminds me a lot, like if you're an old-time Mac guy like me, FileMaker Pro. I know FileMaker Pro is still out there, that there's some of us old folks still use. It's still good software, but I use Airtable. What I love about Airtable is that the web integrations, I can use it, tools like Zapier or Make to create automations so that when something happens in Airtable, it causes something else to happen in, say, Discord. So the way I use Airtable is that I use it mainly to keep track of all of their shows on StarQuest, and each show, like Secrets of Tech, and then each episode, and I'm keeping track of where it is. Is it been released? Is it, in progress? Who's going to be on the show? What's the show about? All these different lines, all these records and fields, and I can automate a lot of that. And it just helps me keep track of all kinds, and you could use it for all kinds of stuff. You could use it to keep track of people. And then it has all these different ways. You could do like a lot of project tracking. where you can set up like Gantt charts and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's really a fantastic database type of tool, and I could use it for even more things that I do now. I keep thinking of looking into that. I use Apple Notes a lot. I used to use Evernote for a lot of things, and several of the things on this list are replacing Evernote because Evernote has changed. It's gotten way more expensive, and it's not the tool it used to be. So I use Apple Notes for a lot of things, and Apple Notes is the built-in note system for the Apple ecosystem, and it's gotten really good. It's still got a few things I wish it had. I wish it had a highlighter tool for the text tools. Like I could just like highlight something. Like I can bold, but I can, and I wish it supported Markdown. And it doesn't really. It's a rich text. Other than that, I really like its ability to, for one thing, to do collaborative, to share notes. So I can share notes like Jack, like you do with your wife with was it
Google Keep?
Google Keep. I use notes to keep to do like menus with my wife. Like this is the weekly menu. This is what we got coming up for meals this week and that sort of thing. So you can do collaborative notes, and I keep all of my show notes in there for all the different shows that we do. But I also use another text tool called Drafts, and Drafts is it's almost a similar purpose, but it does two things. It's a place it's sort of like the text inbox for me. It's a place for me to quickly record stuff. And then it has this ability to create scripts and stuff and to create extensions so that you can, actions, they call them. You can send that text to different places. If it's a to-do, I can send it to OmniFocus. If it's an email, I can send it to my email program. If it's a text message, I could text it, from right within Drafts. The other thing that Drafts does is it allows me to keep templates of things. I keep boilerplate text, but I also have templates where I have a set of like projects in OmniFocus that I do every, that I do over and over again. Each episode of a show is a separate OmniFocus project, and I can run a command on one of my drafts that is a template for an episode project, and it puts the right dates in, the right show note number, and then puts it into OmniFocus as a new project for me. So it's a very, very flexible system. I use to keep all kinds of things in there. I keep I'm in charge of communications for my girls' scout troop, and we send out a weekly email, and I keep the email that I compose during the week. Every time something new has to go into this week's email, I keep it in Drafts, and then on Sunday I paste that into the email program and it goes out. So Drafts is fantastic. Another thing that has kind of come out of replacing Evernote for me is Obsidian. I know I've talked about Obsidian a lot. I'm an Obsidian junkie. I use it both professionally and personally. Professionally, it's I keep a daily journal of all the things I do, so that not just it's here, this is all how busy I am. It's also when I make a decision to do something, or when someone tells me something, it goes in there so that I'm not always doing when did I say I was going to do that? I don't remember. Like,
right.
I can search for it. Like when, tell me all the things I said about Secrets of Tech. So it goes in there, and everything's hyperlinked, and all the institutional knowledge of things, all this, every time I change like a setting on a website for, the way the podcasts go out, all that sort of stuff, all goes into Obsidian. And on the personal side, I share a vault with my wife, Obsidian Vault, and all of our financial stuff goes in there. Anything, every time a car repair happens, it's a date, what we did, how much it cost on which car, that sort of thing. I have all the information about all of the mechanics that we use, the plumber that we call, the electrician, so that God forbid something would happen to me, she has all that information. I usually take care of that stuff, and she does the kids, the family medical stuff. And so she puts all that in there. And so we've got this common, wiki of family knowledge in a sense. So Obsidian is great for that. Slack is a communications tool that we've used for years with SQPN. And I use it every day to communicate with all the folks, that we make podcasts with. It has been invaluable. We've used the free version for many years. The paid version is quite expensive. It's like $12 a person. and we have like 50 people, it'd be extremely expensive for us to do the paid version. And we're kind of running up against the limits of Slack. They're kind of tightening down what you get for free. The history of the conversations are getting smaller. So I'm in the market for something else, but I don't know what yet. So I'm just trying to. It's a big deal if we were to move, because everyone would have to migrate to a new thing. So I don't take it lightly. But for now, Slack is that it's open all the time on my computer, and that's one of the things that justifies it being in this list. Keyboard Maestro is an automation system. I could not work. Like I do all this essentially alone. Like I run everything. I'm the only employee running this network of the only full-time employee operationally. And I couldn't do it without things like Keyboard Maestro automation. Things like I can hit a key command and say, I'm going to be editing Secrets of Tech. And so it opens up the right directories, the right folders on my desktop, and moves into a specific place on the desktop so that I know that's where I need to go. Like it really sets up the environment for me. It opens up the programs I'm going to use and the websites I'm going to be using and all that stuff for the context that I'm going to be working in. If I'm going to be working in the context of editing Secrets of Tech, this is what it needs to look like. If I'm in the context of recording a show, it sets all that up, including the physical environment. It turns on the recording lights and all that sort of stuff. Turns off my regular office lights. So Keyboard Maestro does so many things for me. Even things like, when I restart my computer, it'll pop up this palette, this tool palette in the middle of my desktop, and it has, I can mount my NASs automatically from it. Or in the morning, I come in and I hit a button on my Stream Deck, and it says "Start my day," and it launches all of my software, all the different programs that I use, because I have the computer shut all those down at night. Like I turn off browsers and emails so that everything is fresh and memory is flushed and all that sort of stuff. So Keyboard Maestro. Alfred is a keyboard launcher. It's like Spotlight a little bit, like if you know Spotlight on the Mac, but on steroids in a sense. So if I hit my key combination, it gets it up as Option Spacebar. This little black bar pops up on my screen, and I can do something as simple as type the name of a file, or I can do other things. You can set up workflows with it, and I can do something like let me think of something kind of cool that it does. I can tell it to create tasks in OmniFocus, or a project in OmniFocus for me, all just by typing on essentially like a command line. And if I use like the particular short phrases, like if I type OF Safari, it'll create a new OmniFocus task, a new task in my to-do list from the current tab that's open in the Safari web browser, just by typing that. Cool. Yeah. And it's programmable. You can make these from, these workflows yourself. I even run Keyboard Maestro macros from this command line of Alfred. It also has other tools built into it, like a clipboard history. Folks, if you have not used a clipboard history tool, if you haven't integrated that into your daily workflow, it'll change your life. Like, because if you've ever had to copy multiple bits of information from one place to another, like from one document to this other document, and got to go back and forth, and you've lost track of which one you've copied, and you got to start, you got to go back and start from scratch. A clipboard history manager means you clip a bunch of stuff at once, and then you just go to the other document and paste it all in there like at one time. Or, hey, I remember I copied this URL about 25 minutes ago. What was it? I knew it was from a website from SQPN. So I'll open up the clipboard history manager, type sqpn.com, and then it has all of the stuff I've copied at one point or another, that had that URL in it. It's just, gosh, folks, that's worth the price of admission right there. And then the most basic one for me is Dropbox. Dropbox is the glue. In fact, I didn't even think of it until we were just about to start recording, because I'm like, it's so basic to the way I do everything. all of my files live in Dropbox. I don't keep things in documents on my computer, and I never kind of got into, like, Apple wants you to use like iCloud files, but it doesn't work. iCloud files doesn't work with some software like Dropbox does, and all of my files are in Dropbox, which means that all of these files are accessible from any computer or phone or iPad that I've got on me that I'm logged into my Dropbox account with. And if I, something happens to this computer, if I go buy another computer and log into Dropbox, it's all my stuff is right there, like already, And so Dropbox is just like, I've been using it for, more than a decade, like probably 15 years at least at this point, probably more even. And it is, more than just, it's basic glued for me. So
do you use the desktop functions for it? So basically you have like a whole file structure that is your Dropbox.
Yes. I use it integrated into the OS, the OS version. Okay. So and that changed a couple years ago how that worked, because the way Apple changed some of the file system permissions, making things a little more secure. And at first it was a little bit of a pain, but actually it's all evened out. It's no better, no worse than it was before. So,
okay.
I do that for Dropbox. I also do it for OneDrive. I keep a OneDrive, but I don't use OneDrive as much because I only use Office a little bit. But I'm sad that Google Drive got rid of that too. I like having these on the desktop rather than having to do it through a browser. I find that less convenient. So excellent. So those are our software EDC. We would love to hear from you what you use for your everyday carry software apps and utilities that make your life possible the way that you do your personal and business life. So we'd love to hear from you. If you want to let us know at technology@sqpn.com. Before we move on to our headlines, I want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Christina M., Kathy N., Alan P., Doreen M., and Randy S. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So, headlines. It is February as we record this, and you know what that means. It's tax time. And one thing that's different this year is the IRS is piloting a new free tax filing system. If you are the lucky resident of one of 12 states, which I happen to be, Massachusetts is one of those states that is participating in this, you can use this free tax filing system from the IRS to file your federal tax returns, which is different. You may be saying to yourself, haven't they always had a free system? Yes and no. There has been a way to e-file your taxes if your gross income was $79,000 or less, or adjusted gross income, which is different from your regular gross income. But it's different because this is a bit more. The tools it's got a bit more tools for you to use. It's not just file the form. It will walk you through the system, but it's a limited pilot. There are some limitations to who can do it. And, basically if you have a very simple tax return, you can do this. What do you guys think? Some of the tax preparing software companies are not happy with this, obviously, Intuit and others like them. What do you think? Is this a good thing? Should the government be getting into the e-filing system? Or what do you think?
I think it's good just because Intuit has kind of been lobbying for years and years to keep that market cornered and make money off of people not knowing how to do their own taxes. That also raises the question of why are taxes so complicated to do in the first place, but that's kind of a separate issue.
Yes.
I think if they can do this right, it is good. I'm glad it's not available in my state because I would not trust a pilot program from the IRS in the first year to do anything correctly. So they can get the kinks ironed out this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not going to. I can't use it because if you have an IRA, you don't qualify for the pilot program. That's one of the things. We have a IRA, so it's not going to work. How about you, Thomas? What do you think of this?
I'm in the same boat as Jack. I wouldn't trust it because it's a pilot program that the IRS is putting on. But I mean, our taxes are normally pretty easy, so it's just the addendums that we end up with because we have 8 kids, and that always just throws things. So. Yes. So, we normally go through a tax prep, and I'm willing to pay money for it because it just makes my life a lot easier just to do it. And we don't end up itemizing a lot of things. Like, we don't have a business that we own and have to work around. So, I think this would be great. I think it's something that I could probably sit down and do. I've looked through a few of the items, and it seems pretty straightforward. It seems like if you could sit and do the physical form and follow everything that's going on there, this might work. My only problem is that even with the physical form, you end up having to bounce around so much that I can't see a web-based program keeping up with that sort of movement well. It would need to be very well designed, and I'm kind of on that barrier where it's like, let's give it a couple of years to work out all the kinks. Yeah. And then I'll give this a try.
I've used TurboTax and before that Macintax for many years now. I have basically, like you said, I have a pretty simple return, relatively simple. We take the standard deduction. There's a few little things that I have to file, like a Schedule C for, because of Amazon Vine, which is Amazon sends us products to that we can keep, that we just agree to write a review for. And that's seen as income by the IRS. And so we have to claim that special way. So there's a special Schedule K or something. I forget what it is, but they take care of that for us. But in general, we have a pretty straightforward return. I don't know that I would want, I feel like there's too many eggs in one basket. I mean, I'm not sure I want the IRS to be my tax preparer and the government revenue commissioner at the same time. Right. I kind of want somebody I'm paying to be on my side, because at least that transaction with Intuit is just like with a tax preparer. That's a contract between me and them, and they are liable if they, there's terms of the contract that are probably favorable to them, when I agree to this. But nevertheless, they are contractually obligated to me in a way, whereas the IRS isn't, and I just don't feel comfortable, having them prepare my tax that way. But Jack, you make a really good point, which is for like people in the UK and other countries, they look at us like, you have to do what? Like, and there are lots of TikToks or whatever reels out there of people joking about how, so the IRS telling you, okay, so you have to pay your taxes. Okay, sure. What, how much do I owe? Oh, we're not going to tell you that. You have to figure that out yourself. Oh, well, what if I get it wrong? Oh, then you go to jail. What? so it's all up to me. The way our income taxes in this country have gotten out of hand. I think they're complicated. All right, so that was our first headline. Our next one, this is just for fun. The mystery of the LG washing machine using 3.6 gigabytes of data daily could have a simple explanation. So this guy has a smart washing machine, like I do. I have a smart washing machine, and his Asus router was reporting that it was uploading 3.86 gigabytes of data, or 3.6 gigabytes of data every day. And he posted it on Twitter, and that led to a host of people with all kinds of speculation. Has it been taken over by a Bitcoin miner while you do your laundry? It's mining Bitcoin, or what's going on? And then in the end, it seems like it's actually just a bug in the router, that it was misreporting. It was like mixing up the data, misrecording the data from maybe an iPhone as the data for the washer or something like that. So what do you guys think of this one? This is kind of funny, maybe a cautionary tale a little bit.
Well, I like that he's monitoring it. That's fantastic. Like that he's got a system that is like that's telling what device is using what amount of information, and that there's maybe a warning system in there that alerted him to the fact that this was going on. That's good. I feel like everybody needs to get to the point where they're comfortable enough with the software that's available to them to be able to do that. Because if you have a Wi-Fi mesh or just if you should have access to your modem, like there should be some form of access that you have to your modem to be able to go and check this information, even if your modem is owned by your ISP and you are renting it from them. There is a way to log into it. You just have to maybe figure out what that way is, learn what that way is.
Yeah, I tend to be on the opposite end of like the smart devices. I have like the lights and everything controlled in my house, but like my fridge, my washing machine, everything else is as dumb as can be, and I want to keep it that way. So you don't have to worry about any data leaky appliances.
Yeah, the article that we'll link to, it ends with kind of saying what's interesting is how everyone immediately leapt to the fact that it was the smart washer that was the problem and not the router, that the immediate assumption, because we've been dealing with IoT devices with terrible security and being hacked and taken over on a regular basis so often that we just assume that must be it. This crazy thing of 3.6 gigabytes of data, it's got to be the washer's been hacked of some sort. So it is kind of funny that we leap to that. But yeah, it's good to just keeping an eye on it. I look at my Eero stats a lot. I do because I'm also trying to keep track of what the kids are doing, make sure they're not overusing their devices when they shouldn't be, or, when they should be doing schoolwork and that sort of stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, now you just got to make sure they don't figure out how to mask their devices as a washing machine.
If you wouldn't put it past one or two of them, I think they would be able to figure that out. So then our third headline.
You're teaching them lessons. At that point, you're teaching them lessons, right?
Yeah, that's right. Now I'm just teaching them how to be security consultants at some point. It's a career move. So our third headline is from TechDirt. It says, piracy is surging again because streaming executives ignored the lessons of the past. And basically it reports that since 2001, piracy rates slowly started to climb back up. Piracy in the sense of people downloading media, commercial media, TV, music, films, downloading it from non-official sources, not paying for it, instead of buying it, from subscribers, subscribing to services, or buying it from, iTunes or whatever. So those rates fell around the 2010. They dropped off a cliff because the studios and music execs came to the understanding that if we give people legal and inexpensive ways to get this stuff, they will pay for it and they will stop pirating it as long as you don't make it convoluted. And then somewhere around 2021, everything started getting convoluted again. And basically they point to the fact that it's hard to find the show you want to watch. The services are getting more expensive. They're slapping ads on services you're already paying for. And there's so many services. It used to be that it was Netflix and Amazon Prime, but and you could get most of your content there. And now every single studio, every single channel now has a premium service, and who could afford to pay for them all? And so people are saying, forget it. I'm just going to go to this torrent site and get it. What do you guys think? Is this an inevitable result of what's been going on?
I mean, I think really for me at least, the biggest issue I have with the way that the studios have been handling it is they've started either completely canning finished projects and not releasing them for tax write-offs, or removing shows they've already put out as a tax write-off. Like they took the Willow show off of Disney Plus as a tax write-off, and you can't get
exactly
it anymore.
My example. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. For me, it's, if I am using the service, I will record it to have a backup of it, because I don't know if it's going to be available, if it's something I want to watch like in the future. So it's right. I don't have any faith that they're going to keep their stuff up there. And for me, it's like, I'm fine paying like $10, even $15 a month if I have access to everything. But if it's going to just be gone someday, then I don't put any faith in that.
And there's no promise that it's going to move from one place to another. So like with that one where it didn't perform well. And so rather than keeping it and allowing it to go to Netflix or to they just wrote the show off and then got rid of it, and it just disappeared. Like it's just gone.
Right.
And I was enjoying it. Like I would have loved to have had one season of it, because guess what? I have one season of Firefly that I am always going to go back to and watch over and over and over again. But that's it. And it's frustrating that that's kind of we've gone back to this age where everything is owned by someone else, and we have to go and beg them to allow us to watch it. And that's when the piracy comes in, because like if I can own something, like if I can actually get a copy of something that I can have, I will pay for it. But the fact that I don't really own any of this stuff and I just have to keep paying for it. And now on top of paying for it, if you don't pay a premium, now you get ads on top of it. So it's like, it's the worst possible world of cable distributed amongst all of these different services.
I was going to say, if they drop something, it's not even like you could go buy a DVD of the first season of the Roller Show. Like you just don't have access to it anymore. It's gone.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, or they could make it available like with Apple Music or Spotify. Just everything is there. Like I pay one big chunk of money a month, and I can watch or listen to anything I want. If it's music, pretty much. I mean, I'm sure there's some things that are exclusive somewhere, but pretty much if it's music, I got it. And I don't have to go buy an album. I don't have to find the classical service or the BMI, or, I have to know that this artist is on BMI or Sony, or, you know what I mean? That's essentially what we've done with TV and movies is you got to know where is it playing, who's playing, distributing it. And, it's another service I got to pay for. Well, I guess, I could sign up for yet another one, or I could just not watch, which is an option. You don't have to watch it. Or, my cousin said he's got a version of it on his Plex server that maybe I can, watch. I'm not sure where he got it from, but, I'll turn a blind eye. And that's how this starts. Like but I think people want to do the right thing. I think if you give people a relatively inexpensive, straightforward way of getting the content, of buying things from you at a reasonable cost. Yeah. People will do it.
That's the thing that blows my mind, where it's just like, I want to support creators, right?
Yep.
But it doesn't feel like I'm supporting creators when I'm having to go and search for which one of these major conglomerates currently owns the rights to this thing, so that I can subscribe to them for a month. And the money is not going directly to the creator of this thing that I'm going to them to watch, right? It's going to Netflix, and that just who knows where that money goes, because they seem to be using their money very poorly in general. Right.
Yeah. Netflix is notoriously poorly using their money at the moment. Yeah. And even like for like some of these services, they're taking so long to produce the content, or, like new seasons. And it's just, and then when you get it, it's 6 episodes, and it's frustrating. Like, I'm paying you all this money, and then you're giving me this, 6 episodes and out, or I can see where people are kind of, what was the one we talked about recently was the people who had Discovery on their PlayStation. There was a way of watching, Discovery shows on the PlayStation, and they paid for them. They even bought the seasons. Like I paid you $20 to get a season of, Deadliest Catch, and I don't know what it was. I'm just and then they just said, well, no, that agreement's ended, so now you have to subscribe to Warner Discovery to get or Max to get their content, and it's like you're out of luck, because the agreement was. It was just a license for as long as we have it on the system available. You didn't actually own that. Did you think you owned that? And that's the problem.
That's crazy to me. Yeah. That's the best way to get people who are trying to do their honest best to go and find other ways. Because I mean, if you're going to be cheated out of the thing anyway, why play their game?
Yeah.
Right. and this isn't me saying we should be, we should all be pirates. Yeah, raise the flag. But but it is the natural consequence of what they're doing, and it's only going to get worse for the producers because people are going to say, why bother? Like, why bother? Like paying all this, and they'll cut out most of these services, and they'll trim it back. They'll have maybe Netflix, maybe Prime, maybe Apple TV Plus, or they'll have a couple or a handful, maybe Disney Plus, but they're going to get rid of all the others, and it's just going to get worse for them if they don't figure out a way to make this a better product. And that's the problem. They need to make a better product.
Yeah, I think this is just all part of the streaming bubble that they thought was going to be this huge thing, and it's ended up being a huge money loser for pretty much every company.
Yeah, they've tried to recreate cable, basically. That's when the whole reason we all wanted to ditch cable was because we didn't want to have to pay $300 a month to get a bunch of channels that we only watch a little bit or nothing on. And hey, what a great idea! Let's do that again.
Yeah.
We wanted a la carte, and we got a la carte, and then we got just a bunch of junk added onto a la carte. And it's like, wait, hold on.
Right, that a la carte has free
This
wheels.
is not what I signed up for.
All right. So those are our headlines, and let's move on to our picks of the week. And Jack, why don't you go ahead with your pick this week?
My pick this week is actually something I mentioned earlier in our EDC section. It is Google Gemini, specifically Gemini Advanced, which it's their 4-pay version, and it's normally $20 a month, but they have a deal where if you have Google One, which I use for backup, you get 2 months free, and then it will charge you for that. So basically, and it's like $10 a month. So basically, it's free for me until April, and it's been fun to play around with, especially I like to do things like if I'm outlining a story, like give it the outlines that I'm working on. And it's actually been pretty intuitive at like coming up with suggestions for like, here's how you should, like different plot points you can highlight and things like that, or analyzing other things I've written, like just to give me kind of a summary of it. It's been good with that. It's a lot more flaky when it comes to things like image generation or generating accurate data. So, which is odd because it's really good at certain things, or sometimes it's really good, and then sometimes it will just completely like just poop itself. One funny one was I tested ChatGPT I think last year trying to get it to write bios of people, and like I don't have enough of an internet presence for it to even know who I am. And I had it do one of you, Dom, and it gave this really inaccurate one.
Yeah, I remember that.
And when I did it this time with a Gemini, since it has access to current information on the internet, it said it knew who you were. And then when I asked it to give a biography, it told me in Italian that it cannot do a biography. So it's like, it saw an Italian name and was like, no.
Very strange. Yes. Discrimination against Italians.
So it's interesting to play around with. It is probably not something I'm going to end up paying for once the free trial's up, but it's fun to mess around with these AI systems.
Yeah. It's still so early, I mean, they will inevitably get well, I say inevitably, but maybe not. I mean, maybe there's a fundamental issue at the root of it that they'll never get to be that, self-aware, or what are they using, the AGI, intelligence. But nevertheless, there's some things that they're really quite useful for. I use the ChatGPT every day for my work, very, very specific things. And it's interesting. I'm glad that there's more and more of them out there so that we can, there's a bit of a competition in the marketplace to improve. Hopefully Google will improve and not just do its usual, lose attention and wander away thing.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Google.
Google Reader, I still mourn you. So, Thomas, what's your pick this week?
I'm also pulling something from my EDC. I really cannot recommend New Tab highly enough. If you use Google Chrome or Firefox, do search it up as an extension. Give it a try. It is really just such a fantastic tool for organizing your time online and building the links that you use on a regular basis. And all you have to do is just hit that plus button to open up a new tab, which you're going to do anyway. And then all of your links are right there. You click on the link you need and you're good to go. and really once you get it installed and start working with it and create it as part of your flow, you will definitely feel the loss of it when you go to like a new browser like Microsoft Edge, like I ended up doing on my work PC, and it's not there, and I'm completely lost without it.
I wonder, are there people out there who have created like YouTube videos or blog posts that to give ideas of how best to use it, or is the built-in tutorial useful enough?
It's so intuitive. Once you get started with it, it's so intuitive that it's really not hard to figure out how you're going to put it together. And it's pretty agnostic to most of what you to how you want to use it. And it really is just it's kind of like your bookmarks folder, but it's just making it useful. So it creates this landing page. So all of your bookmarks that are in the new folders show up visually on the screen, and you can just select them really quickly. And it also has some like history functions, so you can see which of your bookmarks you've visited the most recently, or you've added the most recently, or have spent the most time on, and different things like that. So that's another, it's kind of added features to it. I don't know if there's YouTube videos about it. I've really just integrated it so fully into my workflow that I expect it to be there. Okay. And that's really just from playing with it. And it was from the recommendation of one of my peers. He was like, what are you doing? That's a waste of time. Here, try this extension out. And I did, and fell in love with it. So
basically just, install it, start trying to, play with it, using it, and it should be cool.
And I was going to say, exactly. Edge is Chromium based, so it should work with it.
I've tried to figure out how to get it to work, but I can't. Oh. So I'm still in that wrestling mode. I want it to work. Definitely do.
Nice. Excellent. So my pick this week is a bit of hardware. It is a solar panel from Anker that works with their various powerhouse generators. I don't know if it works with other generators, but I have Anker powerhouse, batteries packs. They're very large portable battery packs that I use for camping. And it's very portable. It's not all that heavy at all. If you go to the Amazon link or the Anker website, you'll see how it packs up small, but it folds out to a pretty good size. I think it's like 6 feet wide when it folds out, maybe 5 feet wide. So it's good size. Actually, it says it here. It's 20 something long, and it doesn't matter. Anyway, I think it's folded up. But in any case, it has all of the connections that you need, and you plug it in if on a sunny day, and it will start recharging your battery. And when you're camping for the weekend, any extra amount of battery life you can put back into that battery for charging up your phone, your watch, battery powered lights, that sort of stuff is always useful. I like to have a battery pack with me when I'm camping, just for the various things like powering up, keeping my phone charged, powering up. We bring GPRS radios when my family goes camping, so that we can stay in touch without having to use the cell system, because we might be out of range of cells, or simply with scout camping. You can keep those charged up and that sort of thing. So the solar panel, the thing to keep in mind with all solar panels is they're very finicky about making sure you get the right angle, and this helps you align to the sun, and any amount of shade or stuff, blocking it, like if it's like if there's a canopy and it gets shaded and like that, will like drastically reduce the amount of power it can generate. So you got to be in an open area with some good sunlight for it really to work. So that's something to keep in mind. You can use it at home too, to kind of, if you have a blackout in your area. It's not going to power your whole house off this little tiny solar panel, but you can keep your phones charged and battery powered lanterns and that sort of thing. Definitely. So something to check out. It's about, when I bought it renewed, which means refurbed on Amazon and right now they have like $220 for refurb, which is a pretty good price for a decent solar. You can find cheaper solar panels, but they are cheaper solar panels. So this is a good price for a decent solar panel.
Anker's solid. They make really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I trust Anker implicitly with if it's an Anker product, I know it's gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
So those are our picks this week, and that's it for us this time. We would love to get your comments on anything we discussed this week. You can let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology, or the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, or send an email to technology@sqpn.com, or visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord. You'll find links from our discussion and picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC245. That's Tech 245. And remember to like every episode of Secrets of Tech on Facebook, retweet it on X, where we're at SQPN, and leave us comments wherever you find us. Until next time, Jack Baruzzini, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thanks, Tom.
And Thomas Sanjurjo, thank you as well.
It's been great.
And once again, I'm Don Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest.